How's it going, guys? It's Bao Guy here. Um, as you guys probably already noticed, I haven't been recording or uploading like the last week, like I had promised in my last video. And the reality is unless you've been living under a rock, is some stuff went down over the weekend. Um, the whole George Floyd murder and everything that's going on. Let's just say it really got to me over the weekend. And it took me some days to actually reflect and process everything of what had happened. It got so mentally draining to the point to where I had to basically take a break from social media and stuff, pretty much everything for like a couple days, just to collect my thoughts and reflect on everything that's happened. Um, I'm in a better place right now. My mind, or at least my mind's a better place. But before I go back to, I'm gonna go back to uploading videos pretty soon. So both gaming videos, science videos, my skit videos. If you're coming from my grad student struggle page, I'm gonna get back to that. But before I did, I felt that I needed to make this video because this is something that I can't just gloss over. And I need you guys to know that I'm not glossing over this situation. So I'm not doing this to get any likes. I'm not doing this to get more subscribers. This is just something that I feel I need to put out for myself and for other people who wants to know how I'm feeling right now. So I ask you guys to just forgive me if I'm a little bit all over the place. I don't have a script or anything. I don't have any notes jotted down. This is just me speaking from my heart right now of how I feel and how I'm feeling right now. So I don't know what to start. So the first thing that, or I guess one of the first things that kind of popped through my mind as after this whole thing went down, after I saw the images, I haven't even watched the video yet because the images weren't enough for me. After I saw that and heard what had happened, the first thing that came to my mind was that easily could have been me. And for some of you guys that know me personally, some of you may or may not be thinking like, you're too good of a guy, or you stay out of trouble, or you do everything right. That doesn't matter anymore. At least right now, none of that matters. Because the reality is, I'm a black male living in America. And it's crazy because you grow up, or the way at least I was brought up, is if you do everything right, you follow the laws, you don't cause any trouble, and you do your best to make a positive impact on society, you will avoid getting into any trouble or your life being at risk. I thought that way for a long time, and now within the last couple of years, that's not the case. It doesn't matter that I'm a positive influence or that I emit this positive energy on everybody else. It doesn't matter that I have a family, a wife, and everything with no issues, or outside fighting of who gets the last piece of pizza or whatever. It doesn't matter that I'm a scientist, that I try to help change the world. It doesn't matter that I have all these awards, that all these national recognitions, all these accolades, talented of a scientist I am. I don't like to brag on myself too much, but I mean, I have awards, and then I'm it. But yeah, none of that matters, because the reality is if a police officer were to pull me over, and it happens to be one of those police officers that pretty much don't care about black lives, they're not going to look at any of that. They're just going to look at the color of my skin. Let me tell you a personal story. So this was, I forget how many years ago this was, but this was when I was in grad school, going to grad school down at Texas A&M. I think in my second, third year, I don't know. But I was just driving up to the lab. I think it was like a Saturday afternoon. It was either a Sunday or a Saturday afternoon. It was a afternoon because I was just going up to the labs to take care of something. They were about like maybe 5 to 7 days past their expiration date. I honestly just slipped my mind, and I never got around to doing it during that week. And being that city is a small town, it doesn't take that much for a cop to find an expired plate. And the cop was nice. He just said like, "Hey, I just pulled you over. I know it's your test were expired. I'm just going to let you off with a warning, that's all. Just try to get them taken care of as soon as possible." And he asked for my insurance card, which was in the glove box. So this was before the time where I started having my insurance on my phone and whatnot. And so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll get it. And I'm reaching for the glove box. And I remember it felt like my wrist was shaking as I was going over. And I kept saying to myself, why am I so nervous? Like, why am I shaking? Like, it felt like time was slowing down. It felt like I was getting like loud. My ears were ringing. I was getting a headache. Stuff was getting dizzy. I felt like I was going to pass out in the car at some point. And, well, in the story, I got the insurance card, and he looked at it and gave me a warning and sent me on my way. But I realized afterwards I was probably having an anxiety attack. And that's because that at any given point, with everything that was going on at the time with the Mike Brown shooting, with Sandra Bland getting murdered, everything that was going on, I felt like if I had did anything wrong, my life was going to be gone. And that's the problem. I shouldn't have to feel that way every time I get pulled over. I don't get pulled over as much as it is. Like, the only time I ever get pulled over is a speeding ticket. And I haven't gotten a speeding ticket I haven't got pulled over for speeding in like 3-4 years or something like that. But yeah, nobody should have to feel that way. And that's what's going through every black person's mind right now. Is that every time they get pulled over, they think, is this the way I'm going to go out? Or I have to make sure I have everything, all my ducks in a row. Make sure I don't look at the cop the wrong way, or make sure I don't make any drastic hand movements because they think I might be reaching for a gun. I was on Twitter the other day, and there was this post of this guy where he pretty much said that I guess I'm just going to have to carry a stethoscope, my lab coat, and my medical ID badge because he was a black medical student, or he was a black student that went to med school. And my thing is, why do we have to do that? And I touched on this as well in this long-winded Facebook. I mean, it wasn't that long, but it was long to me. I touched on this long-winded Facebook post that I had put up, to where it doesn't matter what I'm doing or what any black person is doing, no matter how decorated their background is or what type of career path they have. That doesn't seem enough to get a pass. Or we get labeled as, oh, you're not those type of black people, or you're not your typical black person. And it's just like, really? That's what you typically think of black people, or thugs? And just because I'm a scientist that's using my God-given ability to help change the world, that doesn't make me black? Really? But in reality, that's that's what's going through every black person's mind right now, is that they're legit scared to get pulled over something small, because if they do something that seems abnormal by the color of their skin, it automatically seems to be justified to murder them. And what makes it really bad, and I think what kind of also led for me to take a break, or needed to take a break, and was kind of, I guess, boiling everybody else's blood, is not only we have to deal with another unarmed black person being murdered by the police, but we also have people that are trying to justify it, or trying to steer it in another direction by saying that protesting and looting, or trying to steer to that conversation that protesting and looting is wrong. And before I get into that, no, I don't support the looting. I don't support violent rioting. That's just not my nature. That's just not what I believe. I just personally believe that there's other ways that you can try to solve things that doesn't involve violent or looted things. Granted, that's not to say if you try me, I'm not afraid to put these hands on you, you know. But that's not to say that I don't understand them. I get why they're rioting. I get why the looting's going on. I get why the violent acts are happening. And you guys have to realize there's a difference between agreeing with something and understanding it. See, I don't agree. Just because I said I don't agree with the looting and rioting doesn't mean I don't understand their view. So where they're coming from, those people that are doing it, where they're coming from is people have tried doing peaceful protests. The kneeling, the Black Lives Matter movement, doing any type of peaceful protests. And some people, they just look at it as, oh, they're disrespecting America. So you mean to tell me that America is about racism and police brutality against blacks? And so what they're thinking is, if we're not getting anywhere with these peaceful protests, then I don't know what they don't know what else to do. Again, I'm saying I don't agree with it, but I totally understand where that side is coming from. Now back to those people that try to say that we're talking nonsense, or try to argue against the Black Lives Matter movement by saying like all lives matter or whatever. Look, let me just say this. I don't hate anybody. Okay? I don't hate black people. I don't hate white people. I don't hate Hispanic, Asians. I don't hate police officers, Army, military. I don't hate anybody. Okay? I know, and pretty much the entire black community knows that all lives matter. But what the problem is that certain community is being exposed to police brutality over and over and over and over again. So it's not all lives matters anymore. It's just most lives. I've heard some arguments that said that, look, I think they're blowing out of proportion. There's more whites that get murdered by police officers, and they don't pay attention. So if you look at the raw numbers, so if you look at the tally numbers, yeah, they are right to the extent. You see more whites that are murdered by police than blacks. So let's just say that number is 500 whites, 300 blacks. But if you count into the fact that whites makes up 60% of the country, 60% of the population, and blacks only make up 10%, you're telling me that out of those 10% population, they contribute to over almost 30% of the police brutality. And guys, this This is not something that just happened like the last couple of months. This has been happening for years, decades. It's just with the power of social media and you people are able to record stuff. It's actually being brought to life of what really goes on. And I've seen just going on social media, I see some arguments have like kind of let out just as saying like, I don't appreciate you calling me out, or the simple answer to that is racism should be tolerated. Okay, no type, none. Okay, it's crazy that I'm 29 years old and we're still going through stuff and issues that my grandfathers and my grandparents and their grandparents before them haven't gone through. It's not tolerated. And so instead of trying to fight it and argue it, we as a country needs to be looking for ways to fix it. And what ways you can do that? The biggest thing I ask is just reach out to your black friends or your black neighbors or anybody. Reach out and listen. See what they are suffering through right now. And when I say listen, I don't mean have them talk for like 2 minutes and then try to justify why you're right. Like, don't justify like, well, I understand that racist, but X, Y, Z. No, don't do that. You need to listen and figure out where they're coming from. But I think the biggest thing to my non-black friends or my non-black people out there, be anti-racist and be vocal about it. Okay, the black community, we've tried being vocal about it and we just get snuffed out, or we have to make ourselves numb to it and move on. I don't know what broke the camel's back this time, because this definitely isn't the first incident like this happened. I don't know if it's because people are sitting at home, they're all hooked up on the news. I don't know if it's because of my politics. I don't know. I'm not a guy. This isn't about politics. I don't talk politics on this channel. I really don't have I'm not really far left. I'm not far right. This isn't about politics. This is about people's lives. Okay? People being treated fairly. So yeah, I don't know what broke the camel's back this time. But use this opportunity to say that you're not for this at all. You don't tolerate it. You're against this. And it has to come out of those people that are non-black, because if it comes out from that population, people are going to start listening and thinking, well, wait, maybe it's not just us. Or maybe it's not just them. Maybe there actually is a problem. And some of you guys that I follow on social media, you guys been doing that, and I really appreciate it, and I'm glad I know people like you guys. That means a lot. I can't stress that enough, because the reality is some of those people, they were born white, just like I was born black. They had no control of that. So those white people, they were given this white privilege of not having to worry about being discriminated, worry about being pulled over, and just thinking like, oh crap, if this is how I'm going to go out. A platform where people actually listen to them. And you guys did nothing. We didn't control like how we were born. Nobody. It wasn't like a creative carrier on like My Player or a basketball game to where you can pick what skin color you are and how tall you are. We were born this way. Okay. Nobody. We had a choice. Nobody had a choice. And for adults, non-black friends of mine who to recognize that, to know that they can't really denounce it, but instead to use their privilege to help us out, to help me out, to voice out like, yo, this isn't right. That means a lot to me, and I really appreciate it. And I'm pretty sure any other black person, they appreciate what you're doing. I hate that it had to come to this, to where a daughter lost their father's life, a wife, they lost their husband, a mother or a father, they lost their son, for us to have this change. But hopefully this is the start of a change. Hopefully we don't tolerate it more as a country. Hopefully everybody starts listening. So the next time you see me will be either me talking science, or me playing a game, or me making a funny skit, because that's what I love doing. That's what I have fun doing. That's why I got involved in this hobby, is not to get popular or anything, but to just have fun and share that with you guys and give you guys a laugh. But just know this. Just because that I'm getting back to this doesn't mean I've moved on. Doesn't mean I've forgotten of what happened. And that doesn't mean that I tolerate it. Just like the other killings and the other hashtags that has been going constantly throughout the years and years and years in this country.